So self-confidence and also lack of self-confidence is a recurring cycle that you have to consciously break in order to actually grow your self-confidence. So if you're a multi-passionate creative, you might be sitting here in a cycle telling yourself that I feel like I suck, I think that I suck, and then I create art that sucks, and then I have evidence to believe that my art sucks. Well, you could be telling yourself that I'm amazing, my art is amazing, I act as if my art is amazing, I create amazing art in my eyes, and then I have evidence to believe that my art is amazing. For example, using this cycle that thoughts influence your feelings, which influence your behavior, which influence your beliefs. If you can stop at some point within this situation, and I think the easiest place to stop at is your behavior, like changing your behavior can change this entire cycle. It's really hard to be mindful of your thoughts because you're not the thinker of your thoughts. Like you are an observer of your thoughts. There are thoughts that come to you that, you can recognize that a thought came to you and like you're experiencing the thought, like there's a difference between you and the thought. You are the observer of the thought. But your behavior, you can change your behavior. The observer can actually go in and behave differently, and that'll change their beliefs, which will change their thoughts and their feelings. So this is how building self-confidence works. Building self-confidence goes through action and doing things instead of just trying to change your thoughts, because changing your thoughts can be impossible sometimes. We have hundreds of thousands of thoughts per day. So lack of self-confidence is actually an internal fragmentation within your person, a difference between the part of you that thinks you're doing good and the part, or that wants to do good, and the part of you that actually thinks it's doing bad currently. So think about internal fragmentation, like all the different parts in our person. How can we consolidate these parts in our person and be more holistic? Being more holistic means actually living a more holistic life and behaving in a more holistically. Thank you. I'm going to share 4 tips with you to increase your self-confidence as a multi-passionate creative. So maybe you've been going through a healing phase in your life, and now it's time for you to step up and step out and get, going when it comes to the dreams that you have in your life. I'm here to help you do that. So self-confidence, or confidence in general, is the ability to be relaxed in the present moment. This means that you're not worried about your past or thinking about all of the mistakes you've made in the past. And you're also not worried about your future and all of the things that you want to do in your future, or the things that you think you're going to do in your future, or your fears about your future. You're just here in the present moment doing what it takes, whatever you want to do in the present moment. Like being relaxed in the present moment at whatever you want to do. So tip number 1 to increase your self-confidence is recognize you already have confidence within your person and just figure out the ways that you're currently blocking this. So this can look like you might be confident in some parts of your life about certain things, or maybe, one part of your creative life, you might be very confident in your writing per se, but you might not be, excited or feel confident when it comes to querying, right? So how can you translate your love for writing into your love for querying? And how can you build confidence, and how can you see the confidence that you have in the processes and things that it takes to query, and translate all of the confidence that you have in writing into querying? You do this by currently writing out a list of everything you currently feel confident in, why you feel confident in it, and then figure out how to translate that into the things you want to feel more confident in. That's how you get rid of the blocks within your self-confidence in general. Tip number 2 when it comes to your self-confidence is to replace your frustration with curiosity. So whatever you're frustrated about when it comes to you not being able to do something, replace that frustration with curiosity and an actual growth mindset and the comfort to actually take care of yourself and be curious about why something's not working instead of being frustrated that something's not working. This eases you into actually doing things and growing a lot more, and it takes you out of a limiting mindset and puts you into a growth mindset. Tip number 3 is to identify the insecurity mindset within your person, which is the mindset that cancels you before others do. So maybe you were raised with being told that you were too fat or too skinny or too dumb or too ugly to do something. Look around you and see, and first off, see in your own life how things contradict your life. Oh, were you too fat to actually do X, Y, and Z? No, you weren't. You can do this. And you can also look around in your life and look around online and look at people that are successful who maybe didn't get the best grades, or maybe who were thicker, or maybe who were thinner, whatever it is that you're insecure about. Look at it and then figure out why you're canceling yourself out before they canceled themselves out. They didn't cancel themselves out. They just continued on with whatever they wanted to do, right? So identifying the insecurity mindset within your person is very helpful. Tip number 4 is to build your self-trust. Do what you say you're going to do. And that's it. Thank you. If you're a multi-passionate creator, it's time to build your self-trust and do the things that you say you're going to do. Now, there's a time for healing, and there's a time when we want to, rest and relax and not worry too much and just go with the flow. But sometimes healing and going with the flow can feel boring. And sometimes it doesn't build your self-confidence to do the things that you want to do and go after the dreams that you want to go after. So this is my last self-confidence tip in my self-confidence series. So I want to talk about how you should build your self-trust and do the things you say you're going to do in order to build your self-confidence. Now, confidence means to be relaxed in the present moment. That means that you're not worried about the past and you're not, anticipating anything in the future. You're just, in the present moment, living here and now. And building self-trust in the present moment means writing down a list of things that you want to do and then setting out a plan to actually do the micro steps to complete them. If you have trouble starting things, then I would say break them down into the tiniest tasks as possible. Like, for example, if you're a writer, you should, if you are worried about writing or not writing too much, I personally write by hand right now and I type it out when I'm done writing. But do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method and just count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up, do it, and just open it and then just do it for 5 minutes. Write for 5 minutes. And then maybe put a checkbox down on a piece of paper and then write and then check it off. And then once you do another 5 minutes, set a timer and just do things for 5 minutes at a time, and then get the dopamine rush of checking off every 5 minutes that you do something, or maybe every 10 minutes that you're doing something. But building this trust within your person that you're actually going to do the things you say you're going to do helps you build your confidence up in order to do bigger things and complete things that you've been wanting to do for years now. So I like to share tips for creatives that are kind of out of their healing phase and want to actually get to doing stuff and, applying their self-awareness into creativity and their consciousness into creativity. So follow me for more. Thank you. Identify the insecurity mindset if you want to gain your self-confidence again. Now, this is my third self-confidence tip. And confidence really means to be relaxed in the present moment, meaning that you're not dwelling on the past and the mistakes you made in the past, and you're also not anticipating anything coming into the future, so you're not paying attention to what's going on in the present right now. And being relaxed in the present moment gives you the confidence needed to enact whatever you need to do in the present moment. There is nothing other than right now. And when you have insecurities and the insecurity mindset comes in, there's something that's taken place in your past that is telling you that you need to be X, Y, and Z in order to get whatever security that you want in your life. Maybe as a child, you were told that you were too fat or too skinny to do whatever it is that you wanted to do. Maybe you felt like you were too dumb or you failed grades a lot or failed in class a lot. What's the insecurity mindset that's within you, and what's triggered that insecurity? What is the memory that has been telling you this whole time? It might have been a parent. It might have been something that you saw in your environment as a child, like your parents not having enough money, or like you being told that they don't have enough money to do whatever you want to do. What's the insecurity in your person? Identify it, and then think about evidence in your current life to contradict that insecurity in your life. Actually write down things that contradict. It might be, what's the word? You might be able to actually think about contradictions in other people's lives, like, oh, this isn't true. You don't have to be, skinny in order to do this, or you don't have to be thicker in order to do this. Other people do this all the time. You don't have to be smart to be rich. There's plenty of dumb people that just make money because they're just talking all the time online, or they just move faster than other people and break things. So what's your insecurity mindset? What's holding you back? And it's just you holding you back a lot of the times because of your past experiences. And how can you be more relaxed in the present moment by forgetting about those things that were holding you back? Thank you. Tip for increasing your self-confidence or being able to relax in the replace your frustration at your inability to do something with curiosity. If you start approaching life with more curiosity than just trying to get everything right and perfect all the time, A, you'll have more fun. B, you'll learn a lot quicker because you're creating more positive self-talk in your person rather than restricting and limiting yourself. And C, curiosity creates a growth mindset within your person. So be less frustrated with yourself whenever you're trying to do something and be more curious about how you can do something better or improve on your processes for doing those things. Doing this practice helps you feel less insecurity around the things that you're doing and feel more like you're playing instead of just working all the time and like beating yourself up all the time. So anything you're not confident in, just approach it with curiosity instead of frustration. I'm going to be posting a few more tips today about when it comes to self-confidence. I've already posted one this morning, so stay tuned, follow me for more. Thank you. Here's a tip for increasing your self-confidence or your ability to be relaxed in the present moment. Recognize you already have some confidence within you and figure out the ways that you're blocking it. This can look like writing down a list of all of the things that you're proud of yourself for completing in the past, and also figuring out the things that you're currently doing on a daily basis that you're proud of yourself for doing. This might be you're confident in how you treat other people in relationships. This might be you're confident in being able to feed yourself in your job, or like through your job. But if you lack self-confidence in some other ways, like figure out what are you feeling? What traits, like what are the innate traits about your person that bring confidence in those areas of your life, and how can you translate it to the other areas in your life where you feel less confident in? Doing this practice and keeping it like a hygiene practice of like writing down things you're confident about in your person already and then translating those into the things you want to be more confident in, it leads you to start seeing yourself more holistically than just seeing yourself in all those, parts of your person that aren't very well put together, not as cohesive. Like you might be focusing a lot on the parts of your person where you feel less confident in, when you could be focusing more on the things that you are confident in and building your confidence with those things as well, like building your confidence more through those things. So just a thought. I have another tip coming up today and a few more, in the next few hours. Thank you. Real self-confidence, or confidence in general, is the ability to be relaxed in the present moment. If you're not confident because of things that's happened in the past, then that's because of being so focused on the past. And if you are overconfident and you are projecting into your future, like all of these crazy things that take place, you might not be able to see the mistakes you're making now that will not lead you to where you want to be. So learning to be self-confident means to be relaxed and capable in the present moment to take care of the things that you need to take care of right now. Taking slow, deep breaths, regulating your nervous system. This is what confidence really is. Confidence isn't blabbing and trying to explain to someone all these reasons why you are so great. Confidence also isn't just pride in the things that you've done in the past. Like, can you build confidence by continually doing stuff in the present moment that make you feel relaxed and confident? Then yeah, sure. But real confidence comes from being relaxed in this present moment right now. And I'm going to share a few videos about some tips on how to be more self-confident. Thank you. If you see narcissists everywhere, you might be the narcissist. If everyone in your life is narcissistic, then you might also take on those traits of narcissism to protect yourself. Narcissism is a protection response in a world where they felt like they weren't getting their needs met. They've learned to just suck the life out of other people in some way, shape, or form and meet their own needs because they are so worried that no one else is going to meet their needs unless they do it for themselves at all times. There was a time in my life where I was watching a bunch of narcissistic abuse content because I felt like everyone in my life was a narcissist in some way, shape, or form. And in turn, that kind of turned me into the jerk and turned me into someone that only cared about myself because no one else was going to help me out, And it wasn't until I flipped the switch and started being more giving and started seeing people for the traumas that they've lived through, especially when it comes to my family, let's see what happened in my parents' life to, make them act the way they had been acting, and that I lived a pretty good life, but there was still some things that I felt like I wasn't getting my needs met, Everyone comes up with trauma. Everyone grows up with some sort of trauma in their life. So it might be time to really consider whether or not you are including that person's entirety into how they're treating you. Is this how they were taught to be treated, or is this how they were taught to treat other people? And how can you be the change you want to see in the world? That is the key thing to getting rid of narcissists in your life is first off, if you are dealing with someone that's physically abusive, there's domestic abuse going on, leaving that situation is the best thing to do. But if you are just talking about someone that's, I don't know, in hindsight, a lot of the people that I was calling narcissists were just trying to take care of themselves. Yeah, maybe they yelled. Yeah, maybe they were mean. but they weren't like, I could have just walked away if I wanted to, or I could have just seen them a lot less than I did, instead of trying to change them. Trying to change people was narcissistic, in my opinion. So just my thoughts. Yeah, if you're narcissistic, or if you see narcissists everywhere, you might be the narcissist. Thank you. This is so true. This person is basically saying that, like, in the manifestation community, they tell you not to talk about your accomplishments or your goals with anyone. Like, what do you mean you can't celebrate and talk to your friends, especially when you feel like you need a different perspective? And I feel like that is so true. I don't understand. And I feel like words are magical, and like words are spells, and words are promises that we have out into the universe. And if you're just talking to yourself and like not actually bringing someone else into the manifestation, then you're not gonna, like, I understand the whole evil eye thing, but like no one can really mess with your free will. No one can harm your free will more than you can. Like there's no magic that someone else can do unless you let them do that to you, So thank you for this comment. Like, yes, exactly. Like, you should talk about your accomplishments with your friends, or your goals with your friends, and just have them in the circle too, and see what information you can get from them, and also see what good vibes you can get from them, and see how much they can help you and promote you in your own practices. Thank you. When it comes to manifestation, a lot of us try to live for the end instead of live in the end, or living in the wish fulfilled. This can be exacerbated by a lot of manifestation industry practices by telling you have to feel good in order to get what you want, or you have to, be happy right now, or do all of these things, or do this exercise, do this practice in order to get the thing that you want, right? That's living for the end. Living in the end means that you already know that it's coming to you, and you can be happy in the knowing. And you don't have to know that it's here right now, but you can be happy just knowing that it's coming. You can feel settled knowing that it's coming for you. How would you feel once you get to the end? Feel that way now and forget about what you want to happen in the end. Because all of this is in the mind. The universe is mental. Like, the way we shift our perception of the world, and like the way we see the things around us, that is the major shift between, how we feel and how we want to feel. Time is not real. It's a construct of the human brain. So if you really believe that, and like if you can really understand that, then like there is no difference between, there's no past, there's no future, there's just here and now. And if you can feel those feelings here and now, then you're going to keep feeling those feelings here and now. If you keep anticipating something for the future, you're not going to get the wisdom and the confidence in the now. Also, if we pretend that we are living in the end, and if we're happy in the end, then we are living in the end, our reticular activating system, that thing in our brain, there's something in our brain that actually starts looking for reasons to confirm whatever belief that you hold about yourself or about the world around you. So it's going to look for confirmation. This is where confirmation bias comes in, right? It'll look for confirmation that your life is good. It'll look for confirmation that you have opportunities coming to you. It'll find more opportunities for you. Thank you. Common fear is the fear of, and this fear also applies to the parts of yourselves or the old habits that you want to get rid of. Even the old systems, the old habits, our old self, that self we're trying to get rid of so that we can bring in a new self and like shift our mindset, change our paradigm. Like, that part of our person doesn't want to die. It's afraid of death too. And I read this book called Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine, and he mentions that death magic is actually the power to use and like embody boundaries, or like figuring out when something ends and something new begins. Like, that's what death magic is really about, is like healing boundaries, and like doing stuff with boundaries. So maybe start setting boundaries with your old self, and start learning how to grieve, and maybe do a death doula process for your old self. Like, actually maybe have a ceremony to grieve your old self. And like, anytime the old self comes back, kill it, and then go and grieve again. Like, whatever grieving looks like for your culture, like truly go out and like go get some flowers for her and say, I'm sorry. Write her a letter, like, I'm sorry you have to go, but like, we need to change into someone new. And like your old habits too, like say goodbye and say thank you for what you've done for me in my life. You've served me, but grieve and then move on in a new life and a new person. because our old beliefs will live on because they're afraid to die. And we need to be the killer. We need to be the killer and the savior for our person. We need to kill as much as we need to bring to life, you know? There's death and life, and that's balance. So just be mindful. Like, are there old parts of you that keep trying to like bubble up, and like you keep trying to bring a reason as to why you live like this? And like, that's the old you trying to stay alive, you know? And grieve it. Say, I'm sorry, but you have to go. Thank you. I want to talk about have, do, be versus be, do, have idea. So have, do, be is like you have something and then you do the things and then you be somebody, right? Versus be, do, have is you be somebody and then you do the things and then you have the things that person would have, right? And I want to talk about this because normally our society tells us that we need to have something first, like we need to have this product or we need to have this lifestyle in order to do things that someone with that product would do in order to be that person that you want to be. Whether that, like, figures that I am with, like, most of the time it's happy, you know, like, or loved. Like, you'll be loved once you have this, once you smell like this. You'll be happy once you look like this. You'll feel better about yourself once you have this thing, right? Instead of starting with be, where you just start with saying, I am beautiful, I am loved, I am worthy. And then there's I want to talk about how you don't need to think that you're worthy for anything to get anything. That's a whole other thing. But when it comes to this idea of having stuff, like we think that we need to have things first in order to be somebody. Like we need to have the 1 million subscribers, or we need to have the 1 million readers, or we need to have whatever it is that you're trying to become. You think first you need to have that big whatever award, that audience, that thing, before you can be somebody that is happy, or be somebody that is successful, or be someone that's inspiring. So I want to challenge you. Are there things in your life where you're like, I can't be this until I have this? I can't be a published author until I have a literary agent. Like, I can't feel successful until I have this. I am not successful until I do this. You know, are there things that you're telling yourself that you can't be right now because you don't have the things that that person would have? The being comes first. That's usually what you have to first embody. Like, for example, I'm reminded of this story with Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey said that he imagined himself having like a $2 million check in his hand. Like, I am someone that has $2 million. It was some amount of money that was like crazy. And he was a broke kid at that time. Like, he was broke as a joke. And then I think the role for The Mask showed up for his life, and like his check for that role was $2 million exactly. So he was able to manifest that by just saying that he already had it, that he is already someone with $2 million. So yeah, that came quickly for him. So just think about, what are you saying that you want to have in order to be, you know? Instead, just be. Thank you. Something that I've noticed about the manifestation community, it's that it promotes isolation over community. What I mean by this is to say that whenever you look up like manifestation tips or like how to know when you're like on the right track for manifesting, they'll say, oh, your friends fall off. Like you fall off from your old relationships pass away or whatever, right? Like people who are poor, you can't hang around people who are poor anymore. Like you can't hang around people who have low self-esteem anymore. Like all of a sudden, all these people will start disappearing from your life and you're going to be alone for a second, is what they swear, right? And to me, this degrades the entire idea of changing your mindset and shifting your mindset and accepting your current reality as it is. Now, I understand if like a friend naturally, like you guys grow apart or something, like that's natural. But to say like you notice people are poor around you, that means you're still noticing poor, like non-wealth around you. There's this book I've been reading called Condensed Chaos. I finished it and now I'm like annotating it. And one thing he says is that wealth magic is actually the ability to perceive abundance in your current situation as much as you can. That's what wealth magic is like of seeing abundance as much as you can in your current situation. So that means seeing the wealth in your friends in some way, shape, or form instead of cutting them off because they're broke or cutting them off because they have low self-esteem. Like, what do they have wealth in? Like, what do they have wealth in their time? Do they have wealth in their friendships? Do they have a lot of friends? I know there's plenty of broke people who have a way more lively social life than me. And I know that, you know, like, and I'm financially stable or whatever, but I know I have friends who have more, like who hang out more and socialize more and like live a more fulfilling life than me, because they have wealth in a bunch of other ways than just money. So try to keep your friends around. Don't start listening to manifestation tips that tell you to like cut people off that aren't going to be reflective of your life. Like maybe actually try to like do some focusing practices and see why this person's in your life, see what's good in them. Like I'm not saying like if someone's abusive, you know, someone's mean, someone is like actually detracting from your life. But if like figure out what that friend is adding to your life instead of trying to see the lack in the situation. Thank you. You do or you don't. There is no try. If you're trying at something, that means you're not putting your all into it. There's winners and then there's quitters. At least this is what I think about the world. Like the way I see it is that the only difference between a winner and a loser is that the loser quit and the winner kept trying and the winner kept working at things, right? So doing things, it's like either you do it or you don't. You know, I'm going to get a literary agent or I don't. You know, I'm going to get a literary agent. That's what I'm telling myself. If I have to write the rest of my life, if I have to write 100 books the rest of my life, and it's on the 100th book that I finally get a literary agent to look at my stuff, then so be it. You know, that's what it takes to really succeed in this world these days. And also, the universe just says yes to whatever it is you believe is true about yourself. Like, yes, I won't be able to do it. Or yes, I will be able to do it. Or like, yes, you're right. Like the universe will just keep telling you that you're right to whatever you think about yourself. You're right. You're going to keep trying, but trying doesn't mean actually doing, you know? Once you say you're going to do something, the universe consorts to get everything done for you to actually do this, you know? The manifestation might not be immediate, but the orchestration and the synchronicities to get that thing starts immediately. You know, and you just have to keep riding the path and keep focused on what you want and be okay with where you are right now. So just keep doing. You can use any emotion to manifest as long as you're not holding resistance towards that emotion. So how does this work? Usually the way we talk about manifestation, it's like, oh, you have to be happy in order to be happy. And like, you have to be okay with being happy, like just being happy before the manifestation takes place, right? And then they'll say like, and like the more beginner, the more basic, or the more troubling manifestation laws or the manifestation teachers will tell you, oh, if you didn't get it, then you just didn't believe hard enough. You weren't happy enough. You weren't in love enough to actually find the love of your life or whatever it is you're going for, right? When really it's all about detaching and releasing resistance before the manifestation takes place. Like you can say, I can be sad and this manifestation can still happen. I can be angry and this manifestation can still take place. If you add that into your manifestation practice, things will start moving a lot quicker for you. So be mindful, like, are you freaking out and like repressing any sort of sadness or anger you have because you're trying to manifest something? That anger and sadness will still continue in your system, in your subconscious, because you're not actually dealing with it head on. So yeah, feel angry, feel sad, but always remember that you can be okay without whatever you're manifesting. Like you'll be okay. You won't be happy per se. You don't all the time. You won't be angry all the time per se, but you will be okay, you know? And that's how you should think about manifestations, is that it would be nice to have it, but I'll be okay without it. I can be angry without it, but I will survive without it. So just a thought whenever you're thinking about manifestation, you can manifest with any emotion. Thank you. You know, I was walking my dog the other day and I couldn't help but to notice, first off, he's 4 months old. We got him he wasn't being very well trained at his last home. We rehomed him, and he tugs on his leash a lot. Like he is pulling on his leash and like, anything he wants, he goes after it, right? And this, especially when we're going home. Like if we're heading out to walk, he's dragging. He does not want to walk. He will pull and tug the entire way away from me, right? While we're walking, right? And then he'll turn around and he'll just charge towards the house or charge towards whatever he wants to sniff and smell on the way back home. And I just can't help but to think that dogs have such little resistance around what the things that they want and desire. They just keep going after the things that they want. And like, no matter what, they keep going after it. They keep going after it. Like they really have to like be trained by the universe to be like, wait, have patience, or no, you know? So I say this to say, like, be like an untrained puppy on a leash. Like go after things until the universe just like, until you're dead, you know? Like dogs will keep going after things until they are dead, until they've learned their lesson. Don't learn their lesson so soon. Like And like maybe you should see the universe as training you to love things as they are right now, and instead of trying to like constantly go after things, but you should still be going after, be like an untrained puppy on a leash. Like just go after things until the universe tells you no, or until you move on to something else that seems more interesting. Because a dog will keep going until you train the dog to like be a loose leash walker, and we've been training him. He just gets so distracted and so interested in what's going on around him so easily, you know? So be like an untrained puppy on a leash. Just keep going after whatever it is you want. Thank you. The law of polarity states that you must be hated while you're being loved if you're trying to be a creator online. The law of polarity comes from the Hermetic laws, the 7 Hermetic principles. And it states that everything is dual. Everything has its opposite. Everything has its own spectrum, you know? So the more love you get, the more hate you're gonna get as well. And like, you're not doing it right if you don't find haters, you know, somewhere trying to stop you or slow you down. Because there's lovers on the exact other end of the spectrum ready to be a super fan of yours. So be mindful. Are you holding back your authentic self because you're trying to be loved by everyone or liked by everyone? Or are you someone that is trying to actually be your authentic self and live authentically so that you can be hated, admired, and loved? I know for me right now, I'm a little nervous about, what's the word? Like, I think I'm being my authentic self, but I still find myself holding back stories. And maybe as I grow, like I'll tell bigger stories about my personal life. But yeah, like I think it's the bigger you get, the more you're gonna have to be okay with being hated. Like you just have to rub people the wrong way in order to rub people the right way as well. Like you're not meant to be a fit for everyone on this planet. You are not meant to be a fit for everyone on this planet. But the people who will fit with you, they'll fit beautifully. It'll be amazing. Just don't worry about that. Like just keep showing up as your authentic and special self. Thank you. To conduct the orchestra, the conductor must turn their back away from the audience. To conduct the orchestra, the conductor must turn their back away from the audience. This means that when you are working on something, you can't be looking for validation as you're doing it. You need to build the cathedral and you need to do the work with your eyes closed, without looking at the audience behind you. Because you won't be able to look at what you're doing. You won't be able to look at and like be one with what you're working on at that moment. And this audience can be the audience online. This audience can be your family, friends, you know, the peanut gallery, whatever you want to call it. But you need to be mindful that you are actually doing the work instead of looking at for what other people want from you. And you can't build anything if you're just gonna like see what the audience thinks the entire time that you're building something. You're gonna be too busy focused on what they're saying to actually build something that's needed to be said. And the beauty is that you can conduct something and it not be affected by the audience as it's happening, for the most part, most of the time. So yeah, be mindful. Are you doing things for the audience's attention, or have you turned your back away from the audience, and are you creating something that they can just do a standing ovation for once it's over? Thank you. When you hold the view that you're a victim, you eventually become your own oppressor. This quote comes from a pretty controversial figure, but here we don't see good or bad. We just see people as they are and see events as just events, and we can see it as a gift or not. But Candace Owens said, when you see yourself as a victim, you become your own oppressor. And I think what she's getting at here is that if you are living in a situation where you have to find reasons that you're a victim, or like you have to continue to unravel all of these victim mentalities that like you're supposed to have, especially me being a Black woman, like there's some saying that's like, there's no person that's more disrespected than a Black woman. There's no one that's more neglected than a Black woman. If I believe that stuff about myself, and like, let me tell you, I'm still unpacking those beliefs that I hold about myself. And like, there's still parts of me that still see myself as disrespected and like disrespect myself in turn because I feel like I'm disrespected, you know, or neglect myself because I see myself as neglected. So whenever you build up these different victim roles there has to be an oppressor within your person as well. Because without the role of the victim, and like, especially if you, come from a situation where you are an American, like if you're an American with a car and a house and food, then you're better off than like 95% of the planet. Let that sink in, you know? So when you hold the view that you're a victim of someone else, you're going to start looking for reasons that you are oppress and become your own oppressor. That's just what I think about this quote, and I think it's a very profound quote. Thank you. It is a very common human tendency to confuse the map with the territory. That is, to act as though the models we use to interpret experience actually are the experience. This is a quote from Phil Hine from Condensed Chaos. And it's basically talking about how we use these models and these ideas to conceptualize actual human experience instead of actually going to live out that human experience and experience the phenomena. So instead of actually experiencing your attachment style per se, you start looking up quizzes about whether you're anxious, avoidant, or disorganized in your attachment style. Instead of actually figuring out what your love languages are through relationship, you tend to pre-quiz yourself before you get into a relationship and see what kind of, whether it's, I don't know, the love languages. I feel like there's more than those 5 love languages that they talk about, but they're pretty good encapsulation of them, whatever. And instead of actually going about and doing whatever our dream job is or dream career is, we spend years actually just looking things up online to figure out how to do it and make a plan and do all these planning instead of actually going to experience the thing. So don't confuse the map with the territory, and be mindful of when you're putting your energy into things that are very example-oriented versus actually application-oriented. Because the application is where the real phenomena takes place, where the real experience takes place. Thank you. I would like to impart on you the idea of using belief as a tool. Now, you're probably thinking, Joyous, what do you mean using belief as a tool? You can't help but to believe what you believe because that's the truth. You believe in the truth most of the time, right? Well, I'm going to give you a quote by Phil Hine from Condensed Chaos really quickly. Single truths which have an essential character can only be maintained by rigorously ignoring anything which does not conform to a particular belief system. Thus, beliefs survive, even if there is a relative absence of evidence to support them. Chaos magic recognizes the power and malleability of belief and consequently uses belief as a tool for magical action. That we can quickly allow beliefs to form the bedrock of our interpretation of reality allows us to manipulate the ability for magical purposes. And then, if nothing is true, everything is permitted, which is a saying that is popular within chaos magic or condensed chaos with this book. If nothing is true, everything is permitted, then there is no purpose or grand cosmic scheme to life beyond what we choose to impose or believe. So maybe you should make a bank of everything you currently believe about yourself, subconsciously and consciously, everything you believe about the world, and then everything you want to believe about the world and everything you want to believe about yourself, right? Once you have these 2 lists together, you can start figuring out how you can start shifting some beliefs to form into what you want to believe, or what actions you need to take in order to make the beliefs that you want to believe happen and to drop the beliefs that you currently have. And having traditional belief systems that you were raised in can be really good because you can still use those belief systems to gain energy and create magical or change about in the world that you want to seek change in. So for example, I was raised Christian, but I don't particularly identify with being a Christian any longer because I just don't agree with the way Christianity is kind of fallen out these, past few centuries. But what I can see is Jesus as this huge servitor that many people have worshipped for centuries, for millennia, that now has all of this energy and power connected to it that I can now pray to Jesus Christ if I want something because I know it's a powerful, magical servitor. I think that's what they called it in this book. But a servitor is basically an idea or an entity that you've put a lot of energy into, and now you can, just like tarot cards, just like the tarot cards behind me. Tarot cards can serve as servitors. I have specific ones behind me and on my walls, But yeah, you can use belief as a tool and change what you believe or use your current beliefs to affect change in the world as you see fit. Thank you. When distancing yourself from toxic people, be mindful that you don't become the toxic person. There was a time in my life where I was consuming a lot of narcissistic abusive content just because I wanted to educate myself and feel prepared for whenever I come across a narcissist or to deal with the narcissists in my life. When really I was growing to be very self-centered and very toxic in my own ways. I'd yell at people. I'd be mad when things aren't going my way perfectly. I would never understand the perspective of other people because I felt like they never understood the perspective of my own person. So distancing yourself from toxic people can be good and it can be very helpful in the long run, especially if you do it in a healthy way where you just kind of walk away instead of trying. Like with toxic people, trying to explain why you're leaving is never really the best. Like, I'm not giving this advice as someone who's been through domestic abuse, nor do I think people who are going through domestic abuse or like are being tied down by a certain person can really, like, there's resources for situations like that. But if you're just like friend someone, or like maybe I don't know, a family member is kind of toxic to be around, it's easier to just not say anything and to walk away than it is to try to explain why they're so toxic to be around, But it is important to remember that you shouldn't feel so vindicated in calling someone toxic, because you might be the toxic person in the situation. This might be really tough to hear, and this might rub people the wrong way. But sometimes you might be the toxic person in a toxic relationship. Just like that narcissistic and codependency thing I was talking about the other day on here. Just wanted to share my thoughts on this. Thank you so much for listening. Bye. Have you heard the saying, there's nothing new under the sun? Yet we keep creating. Every song, every idea, every movie, every book, every invention is a reflection or a remix of the infinite consciousness. But the new isn't the actual material behind whatever we're consuming. It's the consciousness behind it. You bring a one-of-a-kind, advanced perspective to whatever it is you want to focus upon. And that's the miracle behind creation. You're not making things that no one else has ever seen or heard before. You're making things that only you can see or hear. So stop waiting to be original, because you already are. You're already a perfect mix of whatever it is the universe wanted to bring into the world when they met you or when they created you. You have enough experiences to impact millions of people and share your experiences with the world, no matter how young you are. I know I was falling in the trap of being like ageist against myself. Like, I don't have enough experience yet to really be able to teach or like to share my opinion or expressions. But that's not true. That's not true. Because we are all uniquely and divinely made. Thank you. Have you heard of a fractal? Fractals are images or these conceptions that are self-similar at any scale. And some would say that we are fractal expressions of the universe, meaning that in some way, shape, or form, we are all extremely similar at many different scales or at any scale. Even biologically speaking, we share the same cells and have the same organs for the most part. Mentally speaking, emotionally speaking, we all have the same emotional complexities and different emotions that we can experience for the most part, and different mental experiences that we have. We are the universe experiencing ourselves through these meat suits that we have on right now, and we're all just piles of stardust originally arranged. And you can use this to recognize the similarities between you and someone that doesn't seem like you at all, to create connection between you and that person. And if you can create connection and create less division, it helps you feel less alone. It helps you feel more like the world is happening with you and not to you. So become aware of the fractals that are within your person as well as without your person. Thank you. You are a personal and unique sifter of the universe and universal experiences. This means that two people may consume the same information, but both individuals will come out of consuming that information with completely different takeaways and different insights. So use this to your advantage and don't be afraid to share what you think online, because it's not that no one's thought of it before per se, but no one's thought of it the way you're thinking about it right now. So even though there's nothing new under the sun, there can still be new takes or information or new insights about what's going on under the sun. And these insights come from you. And here's some other things that make us different when it comes to what we're going to take away from information: our upbringing, our genetics, trauma, our personal experiences, and things we've consumed prior to the given information. So yeah, try to become more aware of what information or what personal, unique thing that you bring to the universe, because we all might be coming from the same space, consciously speaking, like, oh, the all can be one, the universe can be mental. But what did you bring to this space, to this earthly plane to share with the world? And what are you taking out of it? And what can you share with other people about what you're taking out from this? You have something to say, and you have a personal and unique way of saying it. So share it. Thank you. Remember that you are chasing the feeling, not the things. that dream car you want, that dream house you want, that dream girlfriend or boyfriend that you want, like whatever it is that you want in your life right now, that's your dream job, your dream career, whatever you think you want it because it's going to make you feel some type of way, or you think it's going to make you feel some type of way when you get it. You can name the feeling and see what comes up. If you can close your eyes and really meditate on whatever you want, getting whatever you want, what that will make you feel like. If you can meditate like that, you can really pin down what feeling that is, and then try to come up with different ways that you can feel that feeling now. So I want a dream car that would make me feel validated, that would make me feel happy, that would make me feel accomplished. I'm going to list out some ways that I currently feel happy, accomplished, validated right now, and lean on those and make myself remember those feelings so that I can get that feeling of having that dream car that I want eventually. Because if you keep practicing that vibration is going to keep coming to you, and it'll eventually come to you in your dream car, yes. But you shouldn't be too attached to the material things, because we're going to leave all of this behind. Like, we're not going to take anything with us when we die other than maybe our experiences, So become aware, like, what feeling are you trying to get when you want something? And try to give yourself that feeling in the now. Thank you. You're not behind, you're just unfolding at your own divine pace. You might feel like you're at a certain age and like your life is supposed to look like this, or, whatever Disney told you or whatever social media is telling you. Well, you're not seeing, the entirety of those people's lives. You're only seeing the highlight reel of their lives. And you're only seeing what stories and movies have told you about what your life's supposed to look like at this age. But also, if you stop looking at life's challenges as detours or as things that get in the way of getting to your final destination and start seeing it as the journey and to enjoy the journey as it comes, then that's when you see the real beauty in life. Is there any road trip that really was enjoyable just on being in the road by itself? Or were you there to stop and look around and be enamored with nature and just be on the journey? Flowers don't rush to bloom just because the one next to them is blooming faster. They bloom in their own beautiful time. So be mindful. Are you comparing yourself with others and seeing yourself as behind, or are you enjoying the road that you're on right now to wherever it's taking you? Thank you. If you have to eat a frog, do it first thing in the morning. And if you have to eat 2 frogs, eat the biggest one first. This is a productivity tip that calls you to get the hardest thing over with first in the morning so you can have an easier day out throughout the rest of your day. This takes all of that challenging stuff that you want to procrastinate on and just get it over with during the first of the day. You can wake up, barely be thinking, and do the hardest thing first, then you'll have the rest of the day to yourself. And if you have to do multiple hard things, just get the hardest thing over with, and it'll get easier and easier as the day goes on. I believe this quote comes from Mark Twain. So yeah, just a thought. Is there anything that you do during your day that you get it over with in the morning and it makes the rest of your day easier? For me, it's posting these TikToks and also going to the gym in the morning or roller skating, whichever one I decide to do during the day. But yeah, comment down below, what do you do in the morning to get the hardest part of the day over with? Or will you start using this? Thank you. If you go out to look for friends, they're scarce. If you go out to be a friend, they're everywhere. This quote comes from the idea that if you find yourself feeling desperate, then you're going to continue to experience lack in the whatever situation that you're looking for. So if you're desperate for a friend, you're going to continue to be desperate for a friend. The universe says yes to no matter what you're saying. Like, if you say you can't do it or if you say you can do it, then you're right, So whenever we're looking for friends and we find that they're scarce in our situation, are we actually being a person that has friends or being a friend in general? No, we're looking for a friend so that they can fill it up within our own person. So going out to be a friend puts you in a role where you can be a friend to somebody else, and that in turn will get you a friend. It doesn't mean you have to be a friend all of the time, 24/7, like you're the only person giving in a relationship. But setting an attitude of giving and gratitude will be what changes you from not having friends to having friends. And it also takes pressure off of the new people that you meet in your life to not be some sort of thing that fills the hole in your heart, Fill your own hole in your heart. Become the friend you want to see in the world. Thank you. Jealousy is usually a sign that you want something and you feel like you can't get it, but maybe there's only so much of a pie, and like you can only have so much of a piece of a pie, and some other person is taking the rest of the pie. Jealousy feels like there is a finite resource of whatever it is that you desire. And this scarcity of the mindset creates demons in our brains, like just negative impacts and negative patterns in our brains. So, how to never be jealous again? Turn that jealousy into inspiration. And instead of seeing the whole pie as only a finite, resource, see it as an ever expanding pie that keeps growing and growing no matter what. Like, especially when we think about money or finances, like, there's so much money in the world, and like you having a chunk of it and that other person also having a chunk of it does not make it less likely for somebody else to get it. Or even when it comes to romantic relationships, like there's billions of people on this planet. You can find someone, and there's so many opportunities where you will find someone that has a good relationship with you, just like however you're watching somebody else and you're jealous of their relationship. But become inspired. Like, look at the person or look at the thing that you're jealous of and be like, what traits, like what specifically do I want from this situation? Like, what experiences do I want to receive that remind me of this person or this object or whatever? And then turn that jealousy into actually doing the work to get closer to whatever it is that you desire. That's at least what I do nowadays with my jealousy. Like, I feel less jealous every day and more like, I wonder what this can inspire in me, or I wonder what I can do with this inspiration at this point in my life. So just a thought, turn your jealousy into inspiration. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. It's okay not to stick to the plan perfectly because the brain craves novelty. The brain is a tricky thing, and a lot of things in our life live by rules of paradoxes. So as much as our bodies get into a habit-forming sensation, like we can get into ruts really easily, the brain also craves novelty. And usually we can get it in safe and low-risk ways by scrolling on social media, scrolling through some sort of TV show or like streaming service to look for a TV show, binge watching things, binge eating things, shopping. These are all like safe, low risk ways that we can gain novelty. But also for me personally, like I can only, and like I'm doing a little bit better with the Hobonichis, like an analog planner for my system, because it's easy to customize and easy to change the rules when it comes to analog stuff versus most digital apps, digital workspaces. It's just, I don't know. I just decide not to stick to digital ones for as long because I'm craving novelty. My brain is craving novelty even in my planning situation. So be okay with yourself if you try sticking to some plan and it only lasts a few days. Have a little bit more compassion, show yourself devotion towards whatever you're working towards, and you'll be able to get to a daily ritual that works for you. And learn to switch up your routines a little bit, like maybe change up the timing for something. But our brains usually get into a good rut, and like once you get started on a ritual, then like it just keeps going in the same way you normally do it. So form protocols, form habits. When you feel like you have no one, do parts work. Parts work is the practice of recognizing and identifying different parts of yourself that you have used in different situations and in different scenarios in your life. And learning that we all wear many hats and have a few different identities. It doesn't always have to get to the point where you have, diagnosed multiple personality disorder, but when we were getting raised, we are all raised with different parts of ourselves that we've repressed and parts of ourselves that we've exalted in order to stay alive and to be loved by the people around us. So when we feel like we have no one around us, it's usually a sign that we have turned away against ourselves or some parts of ourselves in order to gain closeness to others, and that didn't work out, so now you're feeling left out and alone. Parts work can look like writing out a dialogue between the self that is lonely and the self that is observing, because we all have an internal observer that's eternal to us. But doing parts work can also look like you having a dialogue with yourself. Maybe going outside, putting some headphones on and not listening to anything, but instead talking to yourself as if you're on the phone with somebody else. All of these things can improve your sense of self and like bring yourself closer to yourself so you can feel that sense of belonging and you can give that feeling of belonging to yourself before you expect other people to change your life and try to gain some sort of, I don't know, feeling from somebody else. Give it to yourself first and then go meet with others. What's new when you're alone? Become more okay with yourself. Thank you. Your emotions are your personal compass. I think when people tell us not to suppress our emotions, they're really telling us to use our emotions as a compass, pointing us in a personal direction that is for our betterment in the long term. And even negative emotions can be great information when it comes to pointing us in the directions of our personal well-being. Positive emotions can easily show us what we want more of, while negative emotions also can show us what we want more of. But we have to dig a little deeper whenever we see these negative emotions come up instead of using our regular suppression activities to suppress our emotions or deal with the emotion that comes up. So be mindful, like whenever you have a negative emotion, especially, sit down, ask yourself, how does this feeling how does it make you feel, and like feel it fully, and then figure out what that emotion's trying to tell you. Like, do you need more companionship? Do you need more closeness? Do you need someone to add value into your life in some way, shape, or form? Do you need some sort of dopamine hit, What is this feeling calling you to get more of in your life? Thank you. Most people when they're driving don't stop when they see a pretty house and ogle at it and, look at the intricate awning or like the garden or the flowers. Most people don't do that. Most people also don't stop to look at a pretty car. They only stop when there's a car crash or if the house is on fire. So what does this mean for someone online trying to build an audience or gain a following? This means as a creative, you can't bank on just the aesthetics or being pretty and calm and having everything all put together whenever you post online. People want passion. People want something new. People want to see someone that's doing something no one's ever done before. This doesn't mean it always has to be novel all the time, because there's really nothing new under the sun. But adding your perspective or your experience with it, and then also adding, whatever style you have, can be the change that's necessary to see something go on fire. So have a little passion whenever you share something online. Like, how can you make this your message and your path? And like, how can you make it so that it feels like you're talking directly to someone instead of just talking into a void? Because most of the time, no one stops when someone's being nice and calm all the time. People stop and stare when someone's acting crazy and in some way, shape, or form connecting with them, So how can you connect with people and how can you bring passion to this system? Thank you. Manifestation rules also apply to your subconscious. Have you ever had a belief that you wanted to create into your world or create into your reality, but you just couldn't get past your current reality? It's because you have a subconscious belief that you believe so much that it can't move. Like, the conscious belief that you want to create in your life can't move past the block that is your subconscious belief. And these subconscious beliefs can be hard to understand or come up with, but there are plenty of questionnaires online. If you just Googled, what are my subconscious beliefs questionnaire quiz, you can ask yourself questions and if you can do your quick instinctual response to those quick questions, and you can get a write-up about what your subconscious beliefs are. There are some very common ones like I'm unhealthy, I'm unfit, I'm broke. I'm basic, I'm boring. There are these things that society breaks down and tries to break into us at a young age. And if you have been seeing yourself as different or special your whole life, this can also feel like a curse to you. But until you can switch any of your subconscious beliefs into ones that can fit well in your reality and fit well in your world, then you can learn to live with these subconscious beliefs and change them eventually. Like, what comes to the light, you can fix and you can change and you can work with, So yeah, your manifestations can be deeply affected by your subconscious belief. And your subconscious beliefs run like 90% of your reality. Very little is actually created with your conscious beliefs. And the only way you can really change your conscious beliefs is by doing things that are different, that tells your brain that you are a different person than what you believe you were in the past. And this can take a while, but your thoughts inform your belief, which form your actions, and your actions inform your thoughts. Like there's a cycle to this, And the easiest way to change your beliefs is to go in and change your action. Because if you keep just trying to thought your way into things, then it doesn't work most of the time. But if you can act your way into doing things, then you can change your beliefs quite quickly. So how would someone that is doing the right things or hold the beliefs you want to hold, how would they act? What would they do? Just wanted to share. Thank you so much for listening. Bye. To be independent of public opinion is the first formal condition of achieving anything great. To be independent of public opinion is the first formal condition of achieving anything great. This quote comes from Friedrich Hegel, and this is talking about how if you are setting out to try to do what other people are doing or do something that people like, you're already on the wrong path. This quote also reminds me of the quote, "To conduct the music, the conductor must turn his back towards the audience." This is not just a saying about, building a cathedral of work so that your work can be seen as good enough for people to come to it. It's the focus on the building part, and it's the focus on the creation part, Like, we're all one, the universe is one. We're all operating from the same consciousness in some way, shape, or form. And when we think about this means that we can start creating for the viewer within, and the audience will show up in some way, shape, or form when we go out online and try to show our work off. But if we try to focus on the audience first, we're not pouring the right energy into the right places, Don't focus on them coming, focusing on building it, But just a thought. I wanted to share this quote with y'all. Let me know what you think. Thank you. Contrast is a necessary part of life. Without contrast, you wouldn't be able to experience the highs and lows that life has to offer, and you wouldn't be able to appreciate the highs and also learn to appreciate the lows after a while. But with contrast will always shoot off rockets of desire that feel good within you and that continues to push you to be the creator of your own reality. So don't be afraid of contrast. See what the contrast in your life is telling you that you've done good at manifesting in the past, or you want to improve some other parts of your manifestations in the future. Because everything in your subconscious as well as your conscious mind manifests into your reality. So there might be some things you need to clean up when it comes to your subconscious beliefs or your unconscious beliefs. Or, as they say, some might call it your shadow side. And I'm also going to talk about manifestation and manifesting as a part of your subconscious in another TikTok, so stay tuned. Thank you. Bye. Do you want to hear about the true source of all evil? And no, evil doesn't come from being bad or demonic or the devil. It doesn't come from the devil. And it actually comes from this quote by Friedrich Hegel. He says, "Evil resides in the very gaze which perceives evil all around itself." Let me repeat that. Evil resides in the very gaze which perceives evil all around itself. This means that if you believe in a doctrine that pushes you to believe things that are outside of you as terrible and evil all the time, and you're reading about all these evil deeds around the world and everything going wrong in the world, it's really the evil is coming from that which perceives evil all around itself. It's coming from your own perception of the matter. And if you're someone who follows G.I. Gurdjieff's teachings, then you would know that good and evil is a very baseline understanding of spiritual matters. And once you move past good and evil and seeing everything as can be a gift in some way, shape, or form, or in its own divine timing, everything becomes a gift, and it becomes your own awareness that you need to recalibrate and not the 3D around you, whatever, right? So trying to figure out a way to not see evil all around you is the perfect key to getting rid of said evil. Thank you. Cringe is a portal to success. Now, I know a lot of us have a hard start with actually creating or becoming some sort of influencer or content creator because we are worried about what people around us in our immediate world think of us. But we're not doing this for them. We're doing this for ourselves. We're doing this to better our own lives. We're doing this to better a community of people online that we will reach, that will enjoy our content and our message or be entertained by what we do, or will find value in what we're sharing online. So being cringe, especially for the first few weeks or months that you are working on something or building something online or doing anything really, like if you're trying something new, it's going to feel cringe. It's going to feel different. It's going to feel like you're wasting your time in some way, shape, or form, or it's going to feel humiliating to try in front of other people. But really that cringe is a portal to success because everyone that has succeeded and everyone that is famous today, they started off by doing something cringe, something nerdy, something that other people just didn't believe in, something that, they didn't come off as cool for trying, It's not cool to try. At least to me, to others. To me, I think it's cool to try. But cringe is a portal to success. And if you can get over that cringe hump and get past feeling cringe whenever you post, you can get to success. I promise. Thank you. Create for the viewer within, not without. So the viewer or the observer within is our inner self, our higher self, our inner child that we have been repressing in some way, shape, or form most of our adult lives because we thought that if we listened to our inner selves, then we wouldn't get the right job or be able to feed ourselves, And whenever you are seeking on a creative journey or going on an artistic path, we need to start creating for that viewer within that is observing everything instead of trying to follow trends or trying to get people outside of ourselves to enjoy what we're doing. Because in the long run, all is one, the universe is mental. I believe in oneness. So if I enjoy something, then I will find the audience that will enjoy it alongside of me. And it's important to have harmony with all parts of yourself while you're creating something. Let me not say it's important to have harmony because sometimes some great art comes from disharmony from parts of yourself. But do we want to live like that all the time? I know I don't. My dog just started tripping. I'm sorry. So seek more fulfillment with the work that you're doing by creating for the viewer within your person instead of the viewer without. Because if you are creating for the viewer without of your person, outside of your person, people will smell that. And people don't really like a people pleaser a lot of the times, People like to watch, if you are driving by a pretty house, you drive past and be like, oh, that's nice. But people stop for a house on fire. Be the house on fire. Be someone that they can't stand but to stop and watch because they are doing something that no one else is doing. They are doing something that is passionate and inflamed and beautiful and you can tell it's something that only this person can do or only this person is willing to do. So create for the viewer within, not without. Thank you. Discipline is an act of self-love, not punishment. A lot of us were raised with thinking that discipline was a sort of a negative punishment on our person, or maybe we can say positive punishment because positive means, we would see discipline as a form of punishment in some way, shape, or form. Negative punishment usually means you're taking something away from someone to punish them, but positive forms and positive punishment means to add something like a spanking or some sitting in the wall for a while or something. The discipline can be usually seen as a punishment, especially the way a lot of us were raised when we were children. When true discipline, discipline when you grow up and take care of yourself, discipline is an act of devotion. It's an act of self-love. It's an act of love towards yourself in the future. Discipline is when you decide to take yourself seriously and start doing things that will be for the better of yourself in the long run. Discipline is not hating yourself so much that you say, I'm gonna, run until I lose a bunch of weight, or I'm gonna eat less because I hate myself. That's not discipline. True discipline is working for your best interest in mind, all of your best interests in mind, all parts of yourself. It is not punishment. It should never be considered punishment to be disciplined. Thank you. Rejection is redirection. Rejection is divine protection. Sometimes those doors that close they were not the right place to be in. Sometimes something could have gone really wrong if you actually went through those doors. And sometimes rejection just means that it's time to redirect your energy to another group of people or to another person because that person or those people weren't right for you. You will always find belonging. Everyone deserves belonging and everyone has belonging in some way, shape, or form. They just need to go to the right places to find it. You might have thought that you lost something when really you were being protected when it comes to the timing, the place, the people in some way, shape, or form. You don't have to take this as it's never going to happen. And the sting of the rejection can hurt your self-worth. It can make you feel like your path is wrong. But we are always on the perfect path in some way, shape, or form. You will always find the way to the light if you continue to connect to source and if you continue to connect with your inner person, your inner self, your inner child, your higher self, really. So what have you been rejected from? Like, what do you think that has actually been protection for you? I know for me, like I had a startup in my past where I didn't get investment from the people that I thought I was going to get investment from. And in hindsight, those people were probably not with my best interest in mind, and those people were probably not going to actually help me in the long run outside of giving me money. And I would have been like in debt, bankrupt, if I actually took the money from them. So maybe that was my divine protection. And that's something I'm still coping with today. So what are you coping with? Thank you.